Welcome, Belle, to Tribe Talks. I'm literally so lucky to have you here and so grateful that in between your ridiculous schedule, you found 15-ish minutes to join us on Tribe Talks. For everyone joining, Tribe Talks is a 15-minute-ish coffee chat with some of the most amazing people in e-commerce in Australia and across the globe. And I'm so delighted to have Belle here today, who is the head of digital and e-commerce at Victorian Woods. I've been very fortunate to work with Belle over the past 6 months, and it's been amazing on so many different levels. And just watching the drive, the momentum, the things she has done in the last 6 months has just been formidable. So welcome, Belle. Thanks for
Thank you very
joining.
much.
All
Happy
right, let's get.
to
Sorry, say that again.
happy to be here, ready to chat.
Yeah, no, really excited to hear your answers. So, the first question is the headlines would suggest that retail is broken. Like we're hearing all over the place, it's doom and gloom,
Yeah.
numbers are down, things are broken. If there is any area you would think retail would be struggling, it would be would you describe Victorian Woods as a mid-lux brand? How would you describe it?
Yeah, we would place ourselves in the premium sort of space.
Premium.
Below
Yeah,
luxury.
okay. So you would think that if anywhere was going to struggle, it would be in that premium fashion
Yeah.
space. Um, but you guys are consistently hitting best months, best days, most successful X. What's your secret?
Um, no secret really. I think that like the Vic and Woods brand is really, really strong. We're in our 20th year this year, so there's a lot to talk about, a lot happening sort of in market for us. They've really honed in this year, especially on product. So things like our core product that we sort of always have is really on point, and that's product that the customer consistently knows is
Mm,
going to be fantastic. So that's something that you can wear for the next 5, 10 years. So it's an investment. So being
yeah,
that we are premium, we are, at that high price point, but the quality matches that. And then, we do have that core, more basic range, but then we have our fashion items. So those ones are going to drive consumer intrigue. So they're going to drive the customer in store, they're going to drive them online. And the creative team take amazing sort of aspirational images of those
yeah,
pictures. So that really helps with that sort of top of funnel marketing and driving the aspiration for the brand. So, I guess product is one thing that the brand's really
yeah,
doing amazing. I think in terms of sort of e-commerce and digital marketing, what we've been doing, like as you mentioned, we've been working with you for 6 months, but you've really helped us understand who the online customer is. So where you've been able to sort of segment that into personas so that we can understand why are we targeting them here? Is that channel going to work best for that customer? Why is the customer dropping off on, the checkout? And so those personas have really driven sort of that decision making around where we're putting our resources, where we're putting our budget. So I think what we're doing is being more strategic and more smart with what we have, and on that, keeping your goals really realistic and setting your expectations for the team, but making sure it's something they can actually achieve. And that just helps sort of drive that motivation for the team. And again, like with teamwork, having the right people in the right roles. We've got a really, really amazing team at Vic and Woods, and I just think we've got the right people in the right jobs doing the right thing. So that's
yeah,
really
love that.
some success.
Love that. And from an outsider looking in, I would say that's one, you guys nail that completely, really nail that. I'll come to that in a minute, but I just wanted to pick up on something you mentioned. And we talked about this customer personas and my, you know, SEO, email, customer personas are probably the three things that I talk about the most because they're going to get you the biggest sustainable growth. So I know you guys have really jumped on that. And in that, you've kind of part of that is aligning the product pages and things like that. What have you done? You talked about having a focus on the basics and a focus on those ongoing products. what have you done online that has kept that? And I apologize because I'm going to jump all over the place, but what have you done that has kind of online has mimicked that focus, or has really enhanced that focus for the customer?
Yeah, so I guess on that, knowing that that's sort of the brand strategy, that these are the focuses for the business, how are we reflecting that from our channels? So it
Mm.
is making sure we've got those collections online, we've got those edits, we've got that SEO content, we've got our ads. It's part of the EDM sort of content pillars that we've got across the brand. It's just maintaining that loop and making sure everything that the brand is focused on, we are pushing out to all of our channels. So it's
Yeah, I
just
love that.
being consistent as a brand, and
Mm.
that's what the customer is seeing, what we want them to see.
Yeah, and doing an awesome job. Um, as a premium brand, how do you approach, and this is a discussion and debate we've had on numerous occasions, how do you approach maintaining brand integrity whilst optimizing for conversions? Because often the two don't align.
No, this one, is a really tricky one, and
Mm.
for us, we can see wins that we can have online, but that might not necessarily align with sort of where the brand is going. And for Vic and Woods, brand comes first always. So every
Yeah.
decision that is made is with the brand in mind. So yeah, that is tricky. Being like, oh, if I did this, I know that we could have, an increase in conversion by this much. But if it's not aligned with brand, don't do it. Like basically, in the long run, if you're sticking to where you know your brand is going to be, you're going to see the benefits in the long run, but it might not be a sort of short-term fix. So
Yeah.
yeah, that one's a tricky one.
But there's been a couple of moments when over the time where we've had conversations where things need to be tweaked slightly. It's not a complete deviation from brand, but in order to get the conversions up, we need to tweak a couple of things which aren't necessarily historically aligned with brand, and you had to go back and kind of build a little bit of a case for that. How have you done that?
Data. I love data.
Mm. Mm.
And, absolutely that's building a business case for each and everything you want to do. People are the experts in their area, and it's really an educational piece for other people, and being like, well, if we did this, we would get XYZ. At the moment, you think that this is happening, but it's not.
Yeah.
So it's using your data in your favor, to sort of build your case as to why you do want to make those changes. And just, if someone doesn't want to do something, it's going, okay, that's fine, you don't want to do it, these are the ramifications, but if we did it, this
Yeah,
would be.
right.
So I
What
think
might be a piece of data that you would use to make a decision? Like if you went into your Google Analytics, what's something that you could pull out and go, look, this is a piece of data we should look at
yeah,
and make a decision on.
I think, things like sessions, bounce rate, like bounce, engagement,
Mm,
that's sort of the biggest one. And looking
yeah.
at something like a Hotjar, your heat mapping tool, and you can
Mm,
really visually show what a customer is actually doing on site, what are the pain points. And it does become pretty evident pretty quickly once you sort of change things up as to what the issue was.
yeah. Hotjar is one of my favorite stalking tools. I think I'm like naturally some weird stalker. Like I really do, because I could spend hours on Hotjar watching people just going through their journey. And then I'm like, oh, there's a rage click. There's a rage click.
I
I
love the
get
rate.
rage clicks all the time. Yeah, I love the rage clicks. Um, what tactics and strategies have you used to increase conversions and revenue in the last quarter? What are some of the key things?
We've done lots of things, but I think, after working
So
with you,
much.
I know, the poor team. But SEO, that's definitely been a massive
Mm,
one and will continue to sort of be an ongoing focus for the business. But that's definitely one of our most untapped resources and channels. I think there's just so
mm,
much more we could be doing, but it's, a resource thing for us.
yeah.
Um, the online personas have just blown us away, just knowing, what the customer journey is, what they're doing online, who they
Mm,
are, that's just been so eye-opening. And through that, we've been able to make improvements to the customer journey, such as like our win-back series hasn't sort of been firing as well as we want to. And due to the persona work, we know that that's 40% of our consumer is really affected by that. So
mm,
that's something that you go, oh my God, if we fix this, we're just going to see that uplift. So that's
yeah.
something that's just been huge for us. And then, there's just the general website improvements, things like site speed and just the general UX. We've been updating just through recommendations from yourself and things that we know that need to happen. And then optimizing a master. So that one's a little bit of a beast. So we onboarded with them in September, and it's just been, an ongoing playing with segmentations, automations, and just making sure everything's as we want it to be and figuring out what else there is to do.
Yeah. And like I said, you're getting some amazing results as a result of all of that work. Um, I would describe you as a great leader. And how I define a great leader is really by looking at their team. My dad used to say, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. And I kind of mimic that in life in various ways. I go, show me your team and I'll tell you how good a leader you are. And you have an awesome team. They're
Do.
just they're great people. They've got a can-do attitude. They're so willing to learn. They're open-minded. They've got great ideas. They're not afraid to speak those ideas, and they're not afraid to kind of push to get the results. And I love working with your team. What's your approach to building and managing a team? Because I know it's a lot. It's what a lot of people struggle with.
Yeah, I think I've onboarded the whole team, so it's been great to sort of set it up how I want to work. So it suits me, but really, the team are all those things. They're hardworking, they're smart, they're motivated, but it is making sure you're hiring the right people for the right roles. Is this where they want to
Mm.
be? Is this the progression enough for them within this role? Digital's really hard to hire for. It's
Yeah,
so competitive.
super hard.
Yeah.
It
So
is, and people can pretend that they know digital as well. It's like sales. Like people can convince you they know what they're talking about quite easily.
yeah. But yeah, for the team, I think to sort of create that environment, it's setting really clear expectations, achievable targets, checking in, giving guidance to them. But I think, the team really are engaged because they take
Mm.
ownership over what they do. They're accountable for their channels, and, they all do such a fantastic job. They're smart. They're really smart girls. So,
Yeah,
I
they
couldn't
are
ask for
super
better.
smart.
They make my job very easy. But yeah, we definitely have a collaborative environment within the team, and there's no stupid questions, no silly ideas. I think everyone throwing everything into the mix just really helps everyone progress in the team. It's ideas you would
Yeah.
never think of on your own. It's using that, combined brain cell.
Electric brain,
Yeah.
totally. And I see that in action. Whenever we do a strategy session, I see it in action in the team. Like I see your approach to that. What's one question that you ask in an interview that helps you determine whether that, and I know it would be a series of questions, but is there one question you ask that helps you determine whether it is the right person for the right role?
Oh, I think every role's different, and I manage across the digital e-com, CRM, and customer care. So everyone has to sort of bring a very different element. But for me, it is just kind, considerate people that are willing to work hard. And I think you
Yeah.
can pick up on that in sort of a variation of questions. But what do you what do you like to do outside of work? And
Yeah.
all of those things. Just I think you can train people to do jobs too, but it is the
Yeah.
cultural fit is probably most important, and knowing
Yeah.
that they're going to
Yeah.
work within that team environment, because one
Yeah.
person can really disrupt a whole team and disrupt motivation. And so yeah, you do have to be really careful, but I wouldn't say there's one thing, but making sure when you are interviewing, someone in the room has a very good judge of character.
Yeah. Yeah, agreed. What is the one thing you would advise retailers to focus on? Oh no, I've got another question before that. Sorry, that's my
Okay.
last question. Let me go back. As a mum with little ones, a successful career, a team to manage, targets to hit, how do you set boundaries to ensure you don't burn out? And what balls drop when you're up against the wall?
Oh, uh, yeah, it is hard being a mum. Like I've
Mm,
got two very young children. Um, so they're a full-time job in themselves, and then you add another job on top, but making sure that you have support. I think, I've got family support, I've got a great partner. Outsource what you can. Don't feel guilty
mm,
about doing that.
nope.
It might not always be the case, and just knowing that when your kids are really young, that is going to be the hardest time in your
Yeah,
relationship, at work. Kids are always sick, you're always sick. So, doing the things that keeps your head straight.
it's so true. So
Yeah.
true. My boy woke up at 2 o'clock this morning with a sore throat, and I'm like, oh, I'm walking on eggshells today. Well, when we were getting ready for school, it was like, oh, I've just, yeah, it was,
So
yeah,
that's coming for you,
it's,
that sore throat.
mm, mm.
um,
Um, yeah, you go.
I was just going to say, and just let things fall to shit too. Don't worry about it. You don't have
I
to.
love that.
Um, you don't have to do your laundry. Your kids can have a Vegemite sandwich for dinner.
Mm.
Don't worry. Don't take life too seriously.
Yeah, it's so true. We beat ourselves up about stuff, and I'm so with you. The outsourcing thing, I'm like, outsource the birthday, outsource the cake, outsource the cleaning, outsource the iron. Like, if I could, I mean, I
Yeah,
can't outsource it all, but if I could, I would
yeah,
because it gives me more quality time.
yeah.
And I just, you can't feel guilty about it. You
It's
know,
like clicking
that's
groceries. It's can be really simple stuff. Just don't beat
yeah,
yourself up.
yeah, totally. What's the one thing you would advise retailers to focus on in 2024?
I think there's no denying that the market is tough, and
Yeah.
people don't have all that extra money to sort of spend. Hopefully, some of those mortgage rates come down, and people
God,
start
yeah.
spending, again. But you know, figuring out what you have that nobody else has. So, what can you offer a
Mm,
customer that no one else has? Figure out who your customer is and what drives them to purchase. Look at what channels are working really well for you and what aren't, and just simplify. Put your
yeah,
resources, your people, your money with what is actually working for you, and just trust your gut on stuff. A platform might say it's doing this stuff, but is it? Do you think that's really working for your business? Just be really critical about what it is you're doing and where you're spending your money, what time people are spending on things. Does that align with your strategy or does it not? Does it align with your brand? Does it not? Just really making sure everything you're doing is working towards sort of that one goal, I think.
I love that. And you have really clear brown pillars. So
Yeah.
it's really it's not I wouldn't say it's easy, but for you to be able to go against those brand pillars, are we aligned in terms of our content? And then you have your KPIs and objectives, and are we aligned in terms of what we're trying to reach is approach I see you taking, definitely.
Absolutely. And, Margie, who's the owner of Vic and Woods, she is very clear about what the brand is and she distributes that throughout the business. So I just think that is unbelievably helpful. We are
Yeah.
actually genuinely working towards the same goal and we know what direction to take. We know what decisions to make because we have that brand strategy in place.
Wickham Woods has some kick-ass women in there, and it was an absolute honor to speak to you. And congratulations on everything you've achieved, because you are an absolute force, and so is your team. And thanks for taking the time to come on Tribe Talks today and spend some time with
You're
me.
so welcome. Always
Share
a
your knowledge.
pleasure.
Thanks, Belle. Appreciate you.
Thanks.